On this video, I'm gonna discuss 10 assets to buy and never work again. Before I even tell you what are these 10 assets to invest, there's something I want you to get out of your head. Buying land, it is not generating cash flow. Why do you work? For example, you're watching this video with a Wi-Fi from your work. Why are you there? Is to get what? Money. Thank you. So it means that if you want to buy an asset, it has to generate cash flow. Remember one thing, cash is king. Cash flow. Cash flow. Please, this traditional way of purchasing a land that does not generate money cannot help you not to work again. Cannot help you to retire because it's just an asset, a piece of land somewhere in a very prime place, but it's not generating anything, and you cannot shop with a title deed. And just understand. So we are talking about assets that are generating cash flow. Now that you understand that, what are these 10 assets that you buy and you stop working? Number one, you have to go and invest in something called dividend paying stocks. Listen, when you're investing in stocks, there are two things you target. You either target capital gain. This is where you buy shares where they are low and then you sell them where they are high. But you are not looking for that kind of an arrangement. Why? Again, it will be like as if you're working again. You want something, you put your money there, then that company will be paying you the dividends. So therefore, you have to zoom in into a company that has a tendency, a track record of paying dividends continuously. So you purchase what we call the dividend paying stocks. You invest in your stocks, then you relax. And by the way, I usually suggest very stable companies that you buy their stocks and you're targeting the dividends. Are we together? So that you'll be getting that cash flow getting into your bank so that at least you get yourself on the stretch of working. Are we together? So the first thing you do is to buy the dividends paying stocks. And if you do not know how to go about this and you do not know how to get started, that is my number. You can get it. Please don't call me. Text me on WhatsApp. Then I'll be able to take you through. Are we together? Now, what happens is that the next thing that you can be able to invest on is something called rental real estate. This one does not need any introduction. Me and you, we know what that means. But there is a caveat here, or there is a disclaimer. This one is expensive to get into. We say in financial terms, it has what we call intensive capital, or it needs a lot of capital intensive kind of an engagement, and not everyone may have this one. So what you do with this one, take your time and build yourself. But before you get into the real estate investment, you can approach it using kind of the back door. You can go to what we call the rates. Let me just put it here. I'm going to explain. Number two, I said rental real estate. Listen, there's something I want you to look at here. I did not say you buy, build, then you start selling. No, it's rental real estate, something that is generating cash flow. Now, I said if you do not have money to get into this, because this one is capital intensive, you can get into something. Oh my pens are refusing to work with me. You can get into rates. Okay, that is real estate investment. You will get into the real estate investment trust. The real estate investment trust basically is like you're getting into the real estate, but in the back door, meaning you're buying shares of the companies that invest in this real estate. Are we together? So real estate investment trust, you can start here. In Kenya, you can start with as low as 5,000. Then you keep on adding that cash continuously as the time goes by. Once you accumulate quite a good number of shares, one day you can sell them and then you can get into the real estate, the real world, if I may frame it that way. So you can start it from there. Are we together? Now, the number 4 asset that I would definitely recommend you buying if you want to get ahead and invest and never work again is something called the commercial real estate. This is where you can get some small offices somewhere, and this one you do not have to build. I have some guys who in Nairobi who have actually rented some spaces. You rent a very big room like this one, then you partition. You find some places where you have actually renting them as offices, and you find somebody who has actually rented a place in town, and then they have built some shelf, and then people, they actually rent out that particular shelf for those people who are selling things online, and you do not have to go ahead and build yourself at the CBD. Probably you may not not have that cash at that particular point. If you go to places like Upper Hill, we have some people who have rented out some spaces, very big spaces. Then they have created either an open space, either a boardroom, either an enclosed office spaces and something like that. And people are renting out. Are we together? You want to hold a meeting, you do not have an office in town, you can just go to that particular place and you have a place where you can call it an office for a day. You pay whatever you gonna be charged, 1,000 or 2,000 or whichever, or 500. You're done with the meeting, then you go home. So those are the things that you can invest, and we call them the commercial real estate. That is the point number 4. Let me put it here in case for those who are writing. Yeah, commercial real estate. Okay, now we go to number 5. The number 5 on this case is something called treasury bills and treasury bonds. Though this one for sure they are long term, another thing is that they usually pay their dividends, not dividends per se, we call them the coupon or interest. They pay so after every 6 months, especially the treasury bonds. And you can actually, we say it pays at, periodically, what we call it semi-annually. Then you can get into this, and then you can be able to be getting some cash out there. Why? The cash flow is flowing in, and of course it does not have a lot of moving parts. You're not that much involved, so that when you put this money there, you can also go ahead and do your other things that you love doing them. Okay, another asset that I would definitely recommend one getting into, if you're looking forward into investing, you can get into the fixed deposits, negotiated fixed deposit. You can get in the mutual funds such as money market fund, and you can be able to get some cash. That one I do not have to explain. Guys have been talking about that like a million times, so you already know what exactly I mean by that. So you can actually go ahead and get started. Why? They give the cash flow each and every month, or rather, actually it gives you the cash flow each and every day. But then if you need it at a frequency of 1 month, then you can be able to get it. You can show up to a bank. If you have quite of a good amount of money, you can have what we call a negotiated fixed deposit, and then you can have an arrangement whereby that money will be giving you some cash each and every month. There is that kind of an arrangement that you can always have with your bank if you didn't know that it exists. Are we together? Another thing is something called the business equity, or we call it the private companies. This one is a whole of a new industry that most of my people from this side of the continent, or this side of the world, they do not know, and it's not yet explored. This is what we call you investing in startups, on businesses that are SMEs, the standard and medium enterprises. You can put your money there. You can point out to a business. Let's say, for example, you love to get into the beauty industry, but there is a certain business you see this guy has the potential, this business has the potential, and not just by the look of eyes. Yeah, you ask for the books and check out on how they are performing, and everything goes by, and then you'll be like, instead of me starting a whole of a new business, how about I pump in cash into this existing business, and we can have an arrangement. Of course, doing it in a very, very legal way, meaning that all the papers are actually, signed and what have you. Then investing in such a business, and you just relax. For example, right now as you speak, the owner of the equity, or the founder of equity, that is the Monga, is just somewhere relaxing in Muranga, but his banks is doing fantastic. Okay, he didn't invest in a bank, he was the founder. But again, you can actually take some cash and invest in an existing business, and then you go back home, and then the business is just doing on its own, provided you do all the legal work, or the legal paperwork on that particular business. This is quite of a new industry that people have not tried to explore. In Africa here, we compete in terms, hey, if I see your business is doing good, it's a shop, I start mine. Someone starts the next minute, everything crashes. So what happens, or some of them crashes, but some of them actually pick it up. You find some people who are very good, we call them how do we call it? Private equity, yeah? You say it's private equity, you go ahead and put some cash somewhere, you invest in that existing business. They usually have an entry plan and an exit plan and something like that. So it's an area that I will definitely recommend getting yourself into that. Now, the other thing is what we call the digital product and intellectual property, IP. Like, for example, what I do, when I talk about things here, I can create some course, I can sell them online, and people can be purchasing there, and I write my books. I do have my books, and you can contact me. That is my number. You can buy my books. That is intellectual property. I'm simply trading my brain, what I understand, solving people's problem. And by virtue of me solving people's problem, then, of course, you get a reward out of it. I'm making these videos. Once I post this video on my YouTube channel, of course, that's where you're watching it. The YouTube will actually pay me, and it will generate cash as long as it is there, it will still keep on generating again and again and again and again. That is an intellectual property. So if you know something that you can help people in them solving some problems, then you can go ahead and do that and be making some cash into that. That is a thing that can actually go ahead and do what? Generate you some cash. Another thing that you can get yourself into, though this one I rarely talk about it, it's the crypto world. This is whereby you actually go ahead and have some cash into those precious metals, the cryptocurrency world, and something like that. But for now, if you ask me, I would say, hey, it depends with your risk appetite. But would it suggest going beyond 10% of your net worth towards this crypto? Actually, I would suggest 5%. But again, I said it depends with your what depends with your how can I say, the risk appetite. And lastly, this is the agribusiness. They say the next billionaires will come from three industries: the technology, the agribusiness, or the agriculture, and the last one is the beauty. Because I mean, you can't download a burger, can you, from a computer? You cannot do that. So you have to have that food presented unto you. Then it means it's only that here in Kenya we haven't really seen a way of how farmers can be. You know why most people hate farming, especially young people? They saw their parents growing up that they were struggling. You know, they were farmers, but they didn't see any money coming in. But there is a way farming can be done, and you can actually become very beneficial. For example, check out on farms in Kenya like Del Monte, Delamere, Kakuzi. Those are giant farms that are minting billions of money each and every month. And they're actually making some cash into that. So anyway, you can actually get into the farming. For example, you can plant things like macadamia, you can plant some avocados and what have you. And then ultimately that can be generating you income each and every month or whatever frequency it will. The point here is to get cash flow. This is good, Joseph, by the way. Those are 10 assets that you can actually invest in. Forget about working, because working will become an option. Again, this is good, just in case you need my services. Happens to be my number. Pick it up, shoot me a call. Let's talk business. For now, it's a goodbye. See you in the next one.